on, guys? I'm here with my brother Chad Hoover at the Bonafide booth. We're looking at the brand new P127. And what better spokesperson can I get on camera than my man Chad? So I appreciate you, bro, for the time.
Thanks, man. Hey, I appreciate you what you do for the kayak fishing community.
Of course.
Because we all are really a big yak tribe. When I saw the name, I said, golly, I wish I'd have thought of that. So anyway, join the yak tribe.
I appreciate you, bro. So yeah, man, just
so let's talk about the boat. The easiest way to do it is to just do the bow to stern approach. One of the cool things about this boat, and almost what I consider an industry first, I know that there's been modifications, but I don't know that anybody has made a power pole mount that also works as a bow mount trolling motor setup on a fishing kayak. So I've been wanting this for a long time with a number of different boat designs. Finally got it past the goalie. If you're fishing a river or a creek, or if you're saltwater flats fishing into the wind, it's so awesome to have the power pole out in front. It also takes some of the weight, whereas kayak anglers, we always tend to want to put all the weight in the back, and it moves some of it in front. And if you're out there and you're fishing in the wind and it wants to constantly turn your nose because you have rods sticking up, you're sticking up in the back, if you just drop down about a foot of power pole, that really goes a long ways. Now, this blank-off plate also serves as a great location to mount accessories. You can put a little track on there, you can throw a camera mount, you can set up your anchor system to run off the front. So it's a really good accessory for a whole bunch of different stuff, but it was intended for either a power pole mount or to mount your bow mount trolling motor.
That's perfect. So great for spot lock, just doing your thing, fishing.
Any brand you want. There's adapter plates. There's also the plate itself works really great. That plate will attach to the adapter plate that is already out there on the market.
Right.
Coming on back, we brought over some stuff, and you're going to hear a lot of folks talking about, man, that looks a lot like a native. Well, when you have companies merge and they become a parent company, the kids are going to start to exhibit some of the features of each other. So these rod tip protectors were brought over from the native line because of the fact that when you're in a pedal drive boat, you can't put your rods between your legs.
Right.
And when you can't put your rods between your legs, your tips can't lay right on the hatch. So you have to have the ability to protect those tips. So when you're going through, tight areas, if you're fishing around docks and you set the hook, you don't want that tip sticking out of the side of the boat. If you're going through trees, if you're going through grass, a lot of times the Spartina grass will grab the rod and just throw it out of the boat. Yep. So those tip protectors are awesome, but they're coupled with stagers in the back, and we'll talk about that when we get back there. One of the features that's carried over from the legacy line of Bonafide is these double header latches, okay? That allows you to open up your hatch from the front. You got your accessory tray, still put your rods, power pole, any long oversized product, you can stick them inside there. A lot of people ask me, like, what's the best rod locker on the market? And I tell them a Bonafide kayak is the best rod locker on the market because you can fit pretty much any rod in there.
Especially during travel, just throw everything in there.
The accessory tray is awesome, but what's also kind of a side product of the pedal drive system and the transducer port is we've built up a deck in here that actually serves as a really great place to put your battery, to keep it up out of the water. A lot of the batteries will actually wedge in there perfectly, but you can also adapt a accessory tray there to mount your battery to. A lot of people ask me, can you still put stuff inside this boat? And you can, you just have to work around this center ridge. And to be honest with you, it's actually worked out like a divider for me that keeps all my stuff from getting tangled up. I throw everything in there from my Yak Attack landing net to my parking pole to 12 or 15 rods in some cases. So anyway, the reason they're called double header latches is you can lock the front latches. You can also open it from the back so that when you're in the kayak, when you're in the cockpit, you can access your gear from the inside of the boat. If you have a squirrely connector on your battery and you're using your tray for that, if you have some overstock lures that you throw in the front, if you've got a dry raincoat or a set of clothing that you throw up there, you can access it from the cockpit. Now, I got to be honest with you, when I first started using pedal drive boats, especially the native pedal drive boats, the little pull tabs were a little bit frustrating to deal with. So these ones that have the finger hole inside them have been a game changer for the ease of putting the pedal drive in and out of the boat. And I like my cockpit back, okay? And so a lot of times when I get out to the fishing spot, I learned this really quick. There's two things. If you have the pedal drive down, I never realized how big of an advantage it was just to reach down and grab the pedal with your hand and make a quick adjustment. But if I'm in shallow water or if I'm in vegetation where I don't have to worry about that, I can actually pop this thing up and I can flip it around.
I was just about to say.
And I can store my pedal drive up and out of my way. It allows me to flip and pitch. It allows me to actually lay my rods right there in the groove and put them on the seat. So I came up with that just out of necessity because I really like to have my cockpit bare. If I'm fly fishing, I don't want to have all that stuff right here. So it's a really cool unique thing about this type of propel system is that you can just flip your pedal drive around, because I see a lot of guys take the pedal drive out and then it's like, okay,
where do you put it?
Where do I do with this?
Right.
It's like people who do video and like, what do I do with my hands?
Right,
You know,
and you don't want to lose it.
You don't want to lose it
falling
because
overboard.
that's
right.
an expensive anchor.
We're good
should
here.
you drop it over the side. But anyway, again, with these new pull tabs, it's really easy to pop in there. So obviously we can't talk about the pedal drive without showing how it works. So all you do is align your prop, you drop it right down through the hole, just like so. And one thing that's unique to the propel drive is you have this alignment tool. So the way that this alignment tool works is you just press that, and once you press that, it lines your prop up. That makes it easy to come in and out. But I'll tell you what else that alignment tool does. It makes a really good vegetation cutter. So what I did is took one of those old-fashioned kitchen knife sharpeners, and I sharpened the bottom edge of it. And so when I pull my prop cover off, I can literally take that thing and just hit it a couple times, and it chops off.
So you don't have to get it
vegetation.
perfectly. You kind of just
no. What I'm saying is I line it up, and so what I did is I sharpened this edge right here, and it works like a perfect vegetation cutter.
I see.
You know, all your vegetation is not necessarily going to be right here. A lot of it's out by the tip, but it's also super easy to pull this thing up, turn the prop sideways, cut your vegetation, and push it back through the hole. So again, it's something you're going to deal with any pedal drive anywhere on the market. Got your little kick up pin right here. You just pop that in place. I don't know what we got going on here. Oh, okay.
There we go. It's already,
there we go. So
already in.
Anyway, pop your cover on just like so. Throw your bungee over it, and you're good to go.
Perfect.
So if you've got big clod hoppers like I do, one of the things that I like to do right out of the gate is I'll take these J-hooks off and I'll change them out to the mushroom style so there's not a hook on there. Now the hook is great because it's easy one-handed operation, but the little mushroom buttons, if you've got big feet, if you've got small feet, it's nothing to worry about. But if you're like me and you've got 11 and a half and your legs are super long, every now and then there's the potential for that to catch. And if you're using a fly rod, I don't like that fly rod laying there. But you can also just take a wet towel and throw over the top of it. So that's another easy low-tech solution. Take a little hand towel with you, throw it in the water, and just lay it over the top of your pedal drive. A lot of questions after the first video came out has been, Chad, what happened to the junk drawer? Well, when you've got an adjustable seat, you have to make some sacrifices. So it's really hard to put a junk drawer in there, but there is the opportunity to create some accessory options to go down here. There's a nice ridge back here to put your tackle boxes on, but I have found that if I just take a regular soft-sided tackle box and slide it under there, I can pull it out and put it in my lap. It's easy to use, and there's plenty of room under the seat. So I want to talk about something real quick that keeps coming up since we've announced this thing on social media. Why didn't you guys just make a retrofit for the existing 127? So the problem with that is the front hatch had to be redesigned. The geometry in the front had to be redesigned to accommodate the pedal drive. In addition to that, if you want a pedal drive boat, you have to have a seat that will adjust. And on the 127, there's only 3 positions, and you would never get it exactly right to where you're comfortable pedaling. In addition to that, you have to have a way to steer a pedal drive boat. And I think the biggest thing that people overlook is you can't just drop a pedal drive in there. You got to be able to steer it. So the steering and rudder system has to be integrated into the hull, or it's not reliable.
And really, Chad, anytime we've really seen some sort of like big retro fit design, instead of the boat being designed around the pedal drive, we tend to see a lot of recalls and issues happening in that area. So this is really the better way to go. You design a boat around the pedal drive. You don't take a pedal drive and try and stick it in a boat.
And not only that, you just would have to run so much stuff externally that it'd be nasty.
That's right.
And you know, I want to make an analogy for the automotive industry, because in the kayak fishing industry, we're still so young that people get a little frustrated. Oh, I can't believe you made that boat when I just bought the other one. That doesn't keep GMC, Chevy, Ford, Ram from making new trucks every year. iPhone's going to release a new iPhone, and they're not going to say, well, sorry, we made an 11, we're not going to ever make a 12. Innovation leads to competition, and competition leads to more competition and innovation, and then we, as the anglers, all win.
That's right.
The other thing to point out is that this boat doesn't make the actual SS127 obsolete. When you see the complaining a lot of times with product design obsolescence, I feel like people have a right to be frustrated and a right to be justifiably
especially
angry.
if they just bought it.
But you didn't buy a pedal drive boat. You bought a boat that's designed to paddle, and you bought a boat that's half the price of this kayak. And so when you consider that this new boat is $29.99, if you took the $1,600 SS127 and you try to design a retrofit pedal drive, that pedal drive would cost more than this boat.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It would just be that expensive to develop the tooling, to develop the product. And I don't want to harp on this too much, but I just want to make people understand there's a lot more to making a pedal drive kayak than just dropping a pedal drive into a hole that's already there.
Right.
In addition to that, you have to take into account that a boat is designed to be pedaled in creating the hull profile. You've got to make it a little wider. If you've got a real skinny boat that's super stable in any other regard, but you're sitting there pedaling, and if you're a bigger dude and your body, you know, is going back and forth, that boat is going to not feel stable. It's not going to feel comfortable. It's not going to feel secure. So what the design team at Bonafide did a really great job of on this thing is creating a lot of volume in the tank well, and also did something that really makes this boat a lot more usable than the SS127 in your rear gear management. They set this boat up to where you can put the black pack in sideways with rod holders on it, or you can put it long ways, and it's really cool because it's actually designed into the hull. So if you notice here, there's actually little mounts, and this is a huge tank well, okay? In addition to that, a lot of people have complained over the years, not just for Bonafide kayaks, but any kayak, I wish my gear bag wasn't sitting in the water, so that's why this little relief was made here, so that if you don't have scupper plugs in there, that your gear is up out of the water, it's elevated. And again, the other thing that you have to do with a boat like this is you have to create the structural rigidity that you're going to need to make everything work. And so when the flush mount rod holders were put into this boat, it adds some extra flexibility, but it's also additional structural stability. It created basically a brace that right where the angler is going to be sitting, it creates just an additional brace, that's built into the design. What I like about it was a side benefit is that I take my Yak Attack boomstick and I can just shove it in that hole, and I've got a really nice, easy to use camera mount, but I can reach back there and pull it out with one hand, and then I can use that for my underwater releases. I can use that to film a buddy releasing his fish or her fish or whatever. Ample track space. There's a lot of track space on this thing.
That's the one thing I wanted to point out is now coming on this boat, we have track space everywhere, right? And so even if, I mean, you could even mount something in the extra part of your seat if you want.
In fact, I actually mounted on one of my boats, I mounted a Sidekick from Yak Attack. I mean,
for the transducer?
The transducer mount, so I could put a camera on it.
Okay,
so I could have that camera over the side, and when I do my releases, the fish swims right in front
of
the camera.
And I like this right here. You were mentioning this little place to put your rod.
Right and actually there's a stager system that goes on this boat that's not installed on the Sidekick that sits right here with a cradle in it, so you can actually put your rod holders there. But Hans is also in the process of designing these stagers here that allow you to sit your rod there, allow you to sit your paddle blade there, and so these stagers are prototype at this point, but those things are like this close to being done. So again, constantly trying to improve and make use of all of the available space. Coming on back, the other thing that you had to do with this boat is create a lot of volume in the stern. A lot of volume in the stern to allow you to have a robust rudder system that doesn't extend past the end of the boat, okay? When your rudder system doesn't extend past the end of your boat, it's less prone to getting backed into trees, less prone to getting jacked up during movement, less prone to just overall breakage. And what's really cool about this system is this rudder is actually retractable. So you've got this little pull cord here, and you pull it forward and lock it in place. So if you don't want your rudder down, it tucks up nice and neat. And if you do want to put the rudder down, you just pull the cord and it's spring loaded to the down position. What's important about it being spring loaded to the down position is this. 90% of the time, if you have a rudder system and you run into something, that rudder becomes a hindrance. So the reason that it was designed with the spring load in mind is it basically acts as a kick up. So if you pass an obstacle, when you hit it, it just spring loads up, and when you pass it, it goes right back down. So it's easy to paddle over rocks, it's easy to paddle over wood, it's easy to paddle over anything.
Or if you forget it when you're pulling through the mud, stuff like that.
It just basically folds right up, because everybody knows me as the drag my kayak guy, and I'm the reason that this rudder had to be designed that way, because I'll grab the front handle and just start dragging. And if that was a rigid rudder, in fact, on one of the prototype models, I forgot about the rudder, and it wasn't a retractable rudder, and I just ripped it right out of the back of the boat.
I'm telling you what, over at Pat Kayak, I see people all the time pulling out the kayaks. I'm like, rudder,
exactly.
Like, boom, rudder snaps off.
So that rudder is kind of angler proof, or Chad proof, if you want to call it that.
There you go.
And again, the other thing that's really cool about this boat is there's well thought out use of space. A paddle stager here, little grooves for the paddles on the inside. I actually found, or for the rods, I'm sorry, I actually found that I can actually stage my rods right in here and just lay them in that gap between the seat, and it works out great. They stay there. I can take this bungee and I put a rod facing backwards. the integration of the Sidekick is something that I didn't know if I'd like in the beginning, okay? I didn't know if I wanted the extra weight, and I didn't know if I wanted to have the Sidekick on the boat. What's cool about it is if you don't want it on the boat, you just take it off, you know, and you just leave it at the house. But the ability to just pop that thing down, put the pin in there and go.
Especially when you're in the water.
Really is nice. Yeah, and if you got your boat preloaded with a lot of weight on it and you want to get it from your trailer in the parking lot to the ramp, it just lets you set your system up. It lets you put things together. And like I said, one of the coolest features for this thing for me is it allows me to mount that stager right there. And again, with this being in the prototype phase, I'm not sure which one I'm going to like the best, or I might use both of them. I might have one here, and I can put rods on top of each other, which keeps the handles from getting tangled up.
So Chad, as we get close to the end of this video here, give me kind of the rundown of the spec sheet. What are we looking at in terms of, I know you said already, but price, weight, that kind of thing?
So it's $2,999. It's 34 inches wide, 12 foot 7 inches long for the hull. When you add the handles in or any accessories, it gets over that, but 12 foot 7. The weight is somewhere in that 94-pound range. Now, a lot of companies like to tout the weight of the hull. I like to tout the weight of the boat. So if you see a product sheet come out later that says a lower weight, what that's probably not counting is the seat and the pedal drive. I like to tell you what the weight is that you're going to feel when you get ready to take that thing fishing. So with the seat in it, with the rudder system in it, and all of the accessories that come on it, it's right at 94 pounds.
Perfect. Well, man, like I said, I got one of the best probably the best spokesperson to really talk about any of this stuff. So, Chad, you could be doing anything else. I appreciate the time for walking me through this boat.
I appreciate it.
I'll see you all around.
Y'all join the Yak Tribe.
Appreciate it.